Sure. Good morning.
Les isn't here today, so.
Yeah, Les isn't here today, so I got assigned to run this thing, so hopefully it goes all right. We're gonna talk about in this meeting some new org updates, some technical guidance from topics we discussed last month, some project closeout guidance, and then we're gonna have another poll on a new topic this month that y'all can answer. Let's see.
All right. So this is me.
Yeah.
So we've been telling everybody now for a while that the ADAs of construction are coming, and they're here. Here's your list. So we've got Bo East in 07, Mark Arsenault 03, Aaron in 61, Lacey in 62, Corbett Hollier 02, Jonathan 08, Bridget in 58, Steve in 04, and Todd Jones in 05. These are your points of contact for all things construction. I'm going to give them an opportunity now to kind of just introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll keep going from there. So we'll start, we'll go in the order on the screen. So Bo, kick us off.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Bo East, ADA of Construction for 07. I've got roughly around 20 years with the department, PE office area, ADA of Ops, and then I switched over to construction. So I look forward to being back in it and, moving forward with everyone.
All right. Mark?
My name's Mark Arsenault, District 03 in Lafayette. Have over 26 years experience with DOTD, project engineer, area engineer, a little bit of bridge inspection. Looking forward to stepping into the new role and contributing to the one team mindset.
Good deal. Thank you, Mark. Aaron?
Aaron Ellisor, District 61, over 25 years of experience as a project engineer and area engineer. Looking forward to the new challenge, and hopefully we can have some more consistency across our construction with this new change. So looking forward to it.
Lacey McCaskill.
Lacey McCaskill, District 62 in Hammond. We're in our conference room with most of our folks. I've been with the agency for 24 years now, primarily in construction, but in AE for the last 10 years. This is going to be an exciting venture and challenge to work with all of our counterparts on this.
All right. Thanks, Lacey. Corbett?
Hi, Corbett Hollier, District 02, ADA Construction. I've been with the department for 22 years. Started out in traffic operations, then moved over here to project engineer and area engineer. And I'm excited to be a part of the new ADA construction team and making construction better in DOTD.
All right. Oh, wait. Jonathan?
Jonathan Lostang, 34 and a half years with DOTD. Yeah, it's been that long. Last 14 years, ADA of engineering. Before that, I was area engineer for 2 years, project engineer for 11 years, 18 years of construction experience early in my career. Never too old to change. Looking forward to it.
Glad to have you. Bridget?
Yeah, Bridget Mappis, District 58, ADA Construction. I've been with the department for 13 years now. Started out in the PE office, then moved to area engineer, and then to ADA of Ops. Looking forward to this new chapter in DOTD.
Thank you, Bridget. Steve?
I'm Steve Christner, ADA of Construction here in District 04. Been either a project engineer or an area engineer for 29 years now.
And last but not least, Mr. Jones.
Jones, I'm I've been with DOTD for 13 years, lab engineer, project engineer, and the last 6 years as area engineer.
All right. This is your new starting lineup, guys. This is the team that we're going to take from here forward, all things construction. If it can't be resolved with the project engineer, this is who it goes to. These guys are going to work as a cohesive team, and then everything rolls up to us for policy or decisions, Cat 1 change orders. We're going to get things figured out at the lowest level. We're going to get this thing moving forward in a consistent nature. Congratulations to all the ADAs, and we're glad to have you. Really looking forward to this new dynamic and this new T4LA initiative, and we're finally moving forward, and we've got some progress on it. I just want to give a quick update on the rest of this. The project engineers, as we talked about last time, have been approved by civil service, and that reallocation is moving forward. The district has added a few other reallocations that we're looking at. We're going to run by civil service in this phase 2, and we're going to try to do all those at the same time. Pay adjustments, associated compensation updates to follow as they come along, but that is the intention with the reallocation, specifically with the project engineers going from engineer 6s to 7s. We're going to have our first ADA of construction and headquarters construction meeting in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be transitioning in this period to approving changing names and approval authorities for estimates, change orders, escalation procedures. But these guys are active and they're ready to hit the ground running. So this is who you call. Next slide.
All right, next, Chris is going to start off talking about 10-foot straight edges.
First of all, congratulations to all the new ADA of constructions, ADAs of construction. Looking forward to working with you guys. Worked with some of you in the past, but looking forward to working with all of you moving forward. Good luck. So for those of you who were with us on our last month on our Roundup meeting, we had we polled the audience about how to use a 10-foot straight edge. And unfortunately, we got a lot of different answers. I think it's one of the reasons why these construction Roundup meetings are so important, try to kind of get us all on the same page. The good news is that most of the people who answered the question either chose number 1 or number 5, which are essentially the same thing here if you look at the slide. So I think most of us we're doing it properly. AI, we did ask AI, hey, what do you think? And it came back with number 3, which a few people in the audience did choose number 3. And I think that would be kind of difficult to do. You know, how do you hold that level, that straight edge perfectly level? But essentially, we just want to lay the straight edge on the surface under its own weight. We don't want to push on it. We don't want to step on it, anything like that. And we want to measure the gap between where it's supported, between the 2 support points. If the high points are more than 10 feet apart, then obviously one end of the straight edge is going to be, or each end of the straight edge is going to be supported. Just measure the maximum gap underneath it. Sometimes those high points may be less than 10 feet apart. So you're just going to measure between the 2 points where it's supported. In that case, you know, there might be a little overhang or like a little cantilever like number 2. We're not going to measure out there. We're going to measure between the 2 points where it's supported. We did look at some other, I guess, sources. FAA uses 10-foot straight edge a lot. This is used a lot in commercial buildings, measuring, you know, floor slab smoothness, and everything indicates, you know, measure between the 2 points where it's supported. So not sure what kind of guidance as far as publications we'll be putting out. I don't know that this really is complicated enough to need a TR. We might try to add a little language in the spec to clarify this, but moving forward, just ask that everybody do, number 1 and number 5 there. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Chris. Next up, we've got Dallas. Oh, hold up. There you go.
All right, can y'all hear me? That's a lot of information on one slide. So there's some questions about police invoices and when to start pay, when to stop pay. And this is just kind of to go over guidance on how to apply payments for police. So there's usually a pre-shift meeting and you got to set up the closure. So it's probably about an hour before the closure starts that you would typically see for police, and then got to pick up the closure at the end. There's usually not meetings at the end. I guess every project's different, so kind of use some judgment on that, but usually doesn't take longer than 30 minutes to pick up a closure. So something like that at the end. Travel time, we prefer that local law enforcement is used. If the troop in the area or local law enforcement is not available, then there may be the need to pay travel time for people coming from out of the troop in your area. So I would say that you should try to get documentation from the contractor showing that they tried to get local first to help justify payment of travel time. Also, if there's anticipated downtime on a project where you're not going to need police the whole time, and really there's probably a need for this on a lot of projects anyway, you have the ability to employ law enforcement to conduct enforcement, writing tickets for speeders. So that's something that if there's some downtime in the middle, you may want to consider that. If you have problems with speeding on your project in general, you may want to get law enforcement to run speed periodically just to help keep that in check. Help the public respect the blue lights more than they do if there's no repercussions. And just a reminder that revised police rates are on the internet. There's a link on the PowerPoint that y'all be able to click on. If a law enforcement agency is not on the revised police rates, they need to submit something on agency letterhead signed by the sheriff or whoever the appropriate authority is, so we can get our revised police rate document updated to include them.
Okay, thanks, Dallas. Oh, this one's yours.
Yeah, this one's mine also. So y'all may have seen there's a ECB 2026-09 on the internet bulletin board announcements. So recently they made changes for mostly typographical issues on the TTCs. There weren't significant changes, but we sent out a construction memo yesterday kind of describing the changes, and we also provided a Redline document so you can actually look and see what the changes are rather than trying to compare the two sheets and figure out what changed, because it's not always obvious. I think they are bugged, but even then, sometimes it takes a little while to go through it. So we provided some guidance on that. Also, the previous construction memo does have construction clear zone and barrier flare rate information on it. It's not on the TTCs like it used to be several years ago, but that document does have that information, which is useful in the field based on my experience. So I want to provide that to y'all. But that was a year and a half ago. So anything else? I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have project closeout guidance. And we didn't actually assign anyone to speak about this. So I'm gonna throw this one to Matt Jones.
I appreciate that, Caitlin.
Anytime.
All right, so apparently I get the short straw on this one, but obviously we've got a couple of projects that have already finished up with our HeadLight only projects. And so we need to start turning that stuff in. Obviously, we do not yet have a final estimate in HeadLight. We are working on it. So in the interim, we can export the spreadsheets to do a summary table of all of the quantities that have been input for your HeadLight only projects. Like I said, we are working on a solution to create a report that'll recap all of those quantities, but we're not quite there yet. We don't want you to hold up getting this information turned in, so certainly move forward with turning that in. We also understand there's issues with the sampling and testing, the 2059, because all that information isn't right there readily available. We will work with you. The headquarters group will work with you on getting those approved and sent in for the final review and approval. We know it can be difficult with the paperwork being in various places. So we are working on a transition letter. It's just a standard, form letter that'll document the transition that basically we were switching from the legacy system site manager to HeadLight, and there's some information missing in that, but it is available upon further review. So please move forward with getting those turned in. Again, we're in charge of the audit group up here, so we can certainly, if y'all need some help, let us know what project number it is that you're planning on submitting. We'll talk to Chris Durbin, April, all of those folks to let them know, hey, this is coming in. This is a HeadLight project that the documentation has all been done. It's in a different format. It looks a little different, so we can get those rolling and reviewed.
I know we got at least 2 projects that are HeadLight only that need to be turned in. We'll probably set up a meeting with those PE offices. If y'all have HeadLight only projects that are ready to be turned in, let us know, and we'll create some kind of guidance document to help with all the other stuff besides the 2059. Most of that information should exist in HeadLight. We just don't have a form that puts it all together in a bow, but we'll work with y'all on that.
All right. So of course, the next thing also is still dealing with the HeadLight transition, but specifically about sampling and testing. So again, we know that there's some issues with being able to put in the testing information right now. We don't want a bunch of different solutions for this. So what we're asking you to do is, for right now, do paper documentation, one statewide method. So if you would do that on paper, scan it in and put it in as a HeadLight observation. So, as you're going through doing all of your density tests or compressive strengths, resistivities, all that. As long as we don't have a failing test, put all those together in one document, upload it, and therefore it's in HeadLight. We can find it later on. Again, it would be recorded on paper for now, but at least we can scan that in so it's readily available. If there is a failing test, please scan that in separately. That way, again, we can document it. That would it'll need a change order of some kind, whether it's a 95% pay, 98% pay, 50% pay remove, have that in there separately so it can be documented appropriately. Obviously, why it matters, we've got to do this for FHWA QA/QC requirements. And so we need to have all that put together. So we are, I think, close to a solution on the HeadLight side for testing. We discussed that yesterday in our meeting, so that should be forthcoming very quickly. But in the meantime, please move forward with including testing in this method.
Right. Matt, I just want to add to that. We did meet with HeadLight earlier in the week, and they found a solution for the material code issue, and the sampling app will, I believe it's being tested yesterday and today, and should go live by the end of this week. That should resolve the issue. Just in the meantime, anything that's been in this transition, this is how we want to make sure that we handle it all in the same manner. So when we do get these projects, we know how to take care of them. I see there's a comment about sampling and testing is a mess with an agreed behind it. We understand that. We realize it. Anytime, if you were here whenever we moved from the MAT system to Site Manager, it was a mess back then too. We're working to get this transition done as quickly and painlessly as possible. We appreciate everybody working with us. So thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a poll about adverse weather. Let me see if I can get this thing to work. Okay, can y'all see the poll question?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll give y'all a couple minutes to read that and answer it. I guess I could read it to y'all. A contractor is working on a 120 calendar day overlay project. The approved progress schedule shows a Monday through Friday operation only. The contractor never planned to work the weekends. A storm system moves through the parish and heavy rains fall Friday through Sunday. No work is performed Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. What day should be documented as adverse weather?
All right, what's it look like?
All right, we've got 153 responses. I will end the poll. Share results.
No. Matt, you won the bet.
Thank God. Okay, I'll stop sharing that. And next we have our follow-up on our question from last month about calendar day time charges versus working day. Brian, you want to talk about this?
Is this me?
It wasn't, but you know.
So this is the flow chart that Les had put together a while back, and I think it went through a few changes and there were some comments made. We did one for working days, and this was the one that was requested for calendar days. Is that correct? So calendar day contracts, time charge, and weather documentation. This is kind of a flow chart to help us make sure that we're doing this the same. Is the day within the contract time? Is the date after the notice to proceed and on or before final inspection? Assembly period is excluded. Contract time is, I'm going to put my glasses on. Contract time is not charged during an assembly period. So is it within contract time after the NTP? Yes. Charge the day. All calendar days within contract time are charged, including Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays and non-work days. So going back to the previous poll question, the answer should have been charge adverse weather Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Did adverse weather occur today? No. Document normal working conditions in the daily work report. If adverse weather did occur, document the weather conditions in detail. And we're looking for rainfall, if there's flooding on the job as a result, the temperature, start-stop times of the impact, site conditions, ponding, photos, videos. Tell the story with the with the photos. Show what happened, when it happened, operations impacted, areas affected. All these things are important when we go back and look at claims and adverse weather impacts 3 years after the job. Controlling item impact. Did the weather impact the controlling item of work today? Yes. No. Document the weather occurred but did not impact the controlling work. If yes, the time extension evaluation is not a charge decision. Did the controlling item impact exceed the documentation threshold? I can barely read that. Threshold equals the greater of 5 continuous hours or 65% of the normal workday for that shift. Multiple shifts, which we talked about a couple of webinars ago, evaluates each shift independently. Any shift exceeding the threshold, non-adverse day. So this is kind of just a summary of what we talked about before, some further clarification on how to charge. Take a minute, digest it, distill your questions through your new ADA of construction, run them up the chain, see if we need to make any changes to this.
Yeah, we also provide clarity at the very bottom about the shift starts, I think was the big issue last webinar.
Correct.
And the next one, which he doesn't need to read through it all, is just the working day version of the same flow chart.
Yeah, and we'd already gone through a version of this. This is just kind of a cleaned up version. Looks a little prettier. Consistent.
And we'll share these when Les sends out his follow-up email with the YouTube link, and we'll also post them online.
Yep. So take some time with these, see if you can break them. See if there's a what if scenario, something that, you know.
Yeah. And then lastly, if y'all have any questions, we got 30 minutes.
So there was a question that came up prior to the meeting about budget requests and how can we get change orders approved timely to make sure that budget requests do not hold up estimates. This is something obviously that we've kind of discussed a lot throughout the course of our webinars and roundups, that sort of thing. That's why, one, we created the RFCO process to make sure on the front end, we're requesting from the project managers, hey, this change order is coming up. Is there funding for this project? One of the big things we've got here over the last few years is LTIF funding, which is a lot of one-time funding. But with that, there's very limited additional budget for these projects. So we have to be mindful of that. And so that's why we're on the front end, making sure the project manager knows this is coming, verifies that there is funding. Then, of course, we've got to get those change orders processed in a timely fashion. So we're trying to get those rolled through as quickly as possible because the project managers are unable to request budget until that change order is fully approved. That's a planning and budget issue. They will not free up the funding until that's the case. Most projects are set up with about 3 to 5% contingency already set up in the project, but that can be expended very quickly, especially if we've got things like railroad flagging, police presence, things like that tend to eat into that contingency budget. So one of the things that we are working with the design group, the planning group, contract services group is setting up those funds for OCP, police presence, and railroad flagging on the front end of projects so that a budget request is not necessary. We've already kind of created a policy and we'll be sending that out to the project managers so they know how to budget for that on the design side before it ever gets to construction. So that's one thing that we're working on to try to increase that. The other thing, project engineers, that you certainly need to keep track of is quantities. As you're moving along, look at your overrun, underrun report. Each estimate that's, in Site Manager, go to the web report and look at that funding portion at the bottom. If you see that those numbers are getting close with the budgeted versus expended, you need to be tracking those quantities a little more closely so that when that next estimate comes forward, if we were over that by a penny, it's going to show up red and potentially could hold up estimates. So that's one thing on the project engineer side that, being proactive can kind of catch those things. Again, the previous estimate will show if you're over 5% over on a particular item and it may need a change order. Also, again, notify your project managers because those small category 3 change orders can all add up to then eat up that contingency budget. And now that money is gone. So again, we got to request budget. So it's always good to be proactive, looking at the funding that's out there to begin with, where we're at with quantities, and kind of track those things to try to make sure we've got change orders approved ahead of the estimates so that budget can be approved and in place.
That's particularly important at the end of a project because we're able to kind of make payments early on in the project for change order items, even if the budget's not added. But as we get towards the end and all the money is expended, we're getting to a point where we don't have cushion to make payments, and that approved amount of money needs to match or exceed the paid amount, and we need to request that money as soon as we can so it doesn't affect estimates. But towards the end, if these change orders are kind of reactive, then it's going to potentially impact payments. So try to be as proactive as you can on getting change orders for quantity increases approved. We do have people monitoring the status of change orders. Every day we look and see if change orders are added and request budget based on those change orders if the funding is not available in the contingency funds on the project. But that process involves a lot of people, and the sooner we get it done, the better.
Dallas, there was a question about providing the TTC construction memo to contractors with the plan red lines. I guess, could we send that out in our follow-up?
I think we could send it to everybody who's on this call or who is invited to the webinar. I'll get it to Les, so it'll be included in what he sends out.
Thanks.
It's also been sent to all the PEs, so feel free to share it with the contractors.
Yep. I just want to reiterate that, yes, we do have the ADAs of construction now, but there's still a lot of moving parts at the district. New roles are still being filled in maintenance and other positions as, these decisions have a cascade effect as these positions are chosen and individuals put in these new roles. So there's going to be a little bit of a transition period as we work through this. So just, have patience with us as we go through this change. This is a monumental change that we're making, and I think it's going to be a great thing for construction. And, having those 9 individuals to deal with and make sure that we're being consistent and doing things the same way across the state. And those 9 individuals are going to be your point of contact to roll everything up to us, and we'll disseminate the information back down through them to the appropriate person. So use the process. If you have any questions, use your chain of command, use the escalation process that we put in place, and really looking forward to this. So
there's a question. Oops, sorry.
Yep.
There's a question about Project Viewer. The info seemingly isn't being updated as we enter the project progress updates form in HeadLight. If there's a specific project you have, you can email us about. We can take a look at it. Currently, HeadLight only projects are not being put into Project Viewer. There's like a connection issue we're looking at to fix. But if it was a site manager project that's not being updated, just send it to us via email. We can take a look at it.
Yeah, and it's not, the update is not instant. It has to run through a process. So I think it can take up to an hour sometimes, or even batch overnight before the changes are made. But send us the project number and we'll check into it. Again, we're actively working with HeadLight on getting the new projects in the project viewer, and that's a active connect issue that I think we may have resolution on, as we talked about it yesterday on the call. So I know they've been actively working on that, and main thing is that we have up-to-date information. We're putting it out in a timely manner, and everybody's working off that single source of truth. And that's what the project viewer gives us. So.
And again, contractors, if y'all have any topics y'all want us to discuss, please send them to us. We want to make sure that these webinars are beneficial to y'all as well.
I'd like to make a comment on the question about the change order sheets and original plans sheets being printed and sent out after award. I heard from somebody in design that they weren't sending out paper copies of the plans and proposals anymore to the districts. I don't think that's consistent, but I would reach out to the project manager or the section head of that project manager and find out, has their policy changed on sending out paper plans for final plans and contract proposal.
Chris, you still on the call?
Yeah, so you may have heard us talking recently about some upcoming changes to some concrete specs. Those changes finally got approved, so we have some pretty substantial changes to section 601, 602, 901, 902, and 1003. A lot of it's just changing some of the tolerances and some of the specifications that don't really involve pay. And generally, when we make those changes, we allow for those to be change ordered into current projects. So if you have a contractor that requests to, use the revised spec, we generally allow that, except for those changes that affect pay. We want the bid process to be fair. So if something affects pay, then I think you're going to have to run that through Brian and Matt to get that determination. But generally speaking, all the technical specs, we want to go ahead and adopt the latest revised spec. So just be aware of that.
There's a question about CPM style schedules for working day projects. We answered in the chat, but I'll just state it here. So right now there's a CPM spec, a bar chart that is very close to the CPM spec, and then there's the standard schedule language and the standard 2026 standard specs. So there'll be 3 different types of schedules moving forward.
So if they have one of those specifications, they can get with us, Dallas, and for the pre-schedule meetings and the kickoff meetings to work through those new specifications. And we'll be utilizing the new program SmartPM to run our CPM projects. So if you see one of those with the new specification coming out in the contract that you have, just reach out to myself and Dallas, and we'll get you started.
Also, you want to discuss further offline with Wayne about his question?
Yeah, it seems like a specific detail that we can.
It comes up from time to time where we're we're towards the end of a project. There's some pending change orders, and we're asked to turn off LDs. And I think in general, we need some information to help justify turning off LDs. That's really kind of a last resort type thing.
Yeah, early communication in the project. If we know there's an impact and we haven't been able to quantify that, I mean, we have ways of taking care of that. We can do partial change orders with reservation of rights, but we have to be very specific, and we like to use those very sparingly. In the event that we don't and aren't able to quantify the full impact, like you said, there's another tool in the toolbox is we can turn off LDs while it's resolved. But we only like to do that for a 30-day period, and so the change order can be processed and we can get the resolution done and then turn things back on. So if you have an issue like that, they usually tend to be pretty specific. It's not really a generality, so we'll be glad to discuss that further.
Yeah, we'll add, we've been getting a lot of requests to turn off LDs for days that have not been vetted. And we don't typically turn off LDs unless, we've verified that, yes, they are do something. So
We definitely don't want to be put in the position where we turn off LDs and then we end up where the contractor owes a bunch of money and we don't have any money to offset that. But that's not the position the department wants to be in or should be in.
Yeah, so early coordination and early resolution, collaboration with the group. You just need to communicate, transparency, get it all out in the open. If it's not resolved in a timely manner at the project level, escalate it up to us and let's get a resolution and move forward. We don't let these things linger until it's the end of the project, and now we're up against the clock and the dollars. So.
all right, well, if y'all have no further questions, we'll end this webinar a little early today.
Not seeing anything in the chat.
We'll be reaching out to those new positions in the districts to set up that meeting, so just be on the lookout for that. And yeah, have a great rest of your Wednesday.
All right, thank you.